This video is going to be a quick advanced lesson on the bass part that Paul played in I Want to Hold Your Hand. So we will take care of those details that are often disregarded or sort of ignored because they are very difficult to catch, but that makes a huge difference in recreating the original vibe of the original recording. I suggest that you follow the video till the very end, because during the lesson I will provide a series of hints that will dramatically improve your ability of listening and appreciating the Beatles music and playing the bass part of I Want to Hold Your Hand. And this will also help us enrich our ability to conceive and craft a bass part. So let's go and see how Paul McCartney made another of his bass masterpieces. I suggest that you use pyramid flat wound strings, 640 short scale. This is the exact set that I use. Now let me illustrate to you a few tricks about how to play the introduction. The first 3 strikes, 1, 2, 3, ta-ta-boom. If you are playing with your drummer, you have to tell them that they have to play them sort of closer than the usual BPM tempo of the song. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, ta-ta-boom, ba-dum. This makes a huge difference in the beginning of the song, in giving the beginning of the song, the starting of the song, the original intensity and the original vibe, the original groove. So when you play that with the bass, what do you have to take care of? You have to take care of that Paul is alternating muted notes to sustained notes. This is intentional. It creates variation. Variation creates attention because everything changes every now and then. The first part of the song is, let me play this one for you. Okay, so Paul plays ta ta tom pa 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 pa, and the 4 Ds are muted. The second time he plays the 4 Ds sustained. So this is variation. When there is the crescendo here. In the last part of the crescendo, you also mute the string. So as your kick drum grows, you have to separate them to create again a difference between this part which is muted and the part that comes at the beginning of a verse which is not muted. Then when the verse starts, we have to really pay attention how we play the notes, the cadence we give to the notes, if we want to reproduce exactly the same exact cadence and vibe and groove of the original recording. So the cadence of how Paul plays the notes is the pivotal thing. Okay, not pum 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 pum, but pum 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 pum. Remember, don't run on the tempo. Of the two, you stay a little swinged. Don't advance the tempo. If I run on the tempo, which is what most people does, things will get very hectic and anxious. Okay, listen, I run on the tempo now. Okay, you hear that there's no groove here. I will now play on the tempo and just a little swing. Listen to the difference. You heard how relaxed it becomes, the whole groove, the whole thing, okay? This is the exact intention we have to give to the verse. Sometimes Paul muted the chromatic scale. Sometimes he sustains it. Doesn't change. It's just a matter of variation. You choose where to play one thing or another. The most important thing is that you change it, so it creates that variation and attention. When Paul goes into the chromatic scale, which he plays starting from the index to the pinky, after he plays the pinky, he replaces the pinky with the ring finger, so he plays like this. Okay, and then moves the pinky here, so the pinky is free to get here. Now let's quickly go through the refrains and let's quickly check what is important to take care of. Stick on the lower strings where possible, so you play and you sustain the notes this way. Paul also changes the way how he introduces the next verse. So instead of starting from the G, he starts from the D. So Another thing is that Paul plays the part by doubling the notes only on the first refrain. So the other refrains play single notes. So let's see a few of the variations that Paul uses, which are hidden in the performance, but they are very interesting because this allows us to understand how they never played the part the same way, to continuously create variation and interest. So the first hint is when Paul enters the first refrain, so at the end of the chromatic scale of the second verse. When he goes into the refrain, it passes from a D sharp. Then he plays the whole thing, starts the verse from the D, as I mentioned before, plays the whole verse again, then he gets again to the next refrain. But I told you he will play with single notes. And makes a faster slide, upper slide, so like this. Here comes the first middle eight. The middle eights are arranged in a particular way because there is an organ there, an arpeggio played by George with a Gretsch, which is not the other guitar that he used in the verses. He changed, he switched the guitars. This part as well requires a little of attention in the cadence. Instead of playing tum 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 on the tempo, on the basic tempo, he plays tum 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 tum. So very long first note, tum tum tum, and very short passage in between and a long note and the end. So like this, okay, then. And then when he gets to the next part, the second part of the middle eight, he plays chords like this. Then he starts again the same part of the introduction, but starting from the E, C, D instead of then C, E, D. Okay, so let's check the next verse. Here there is another variation, so D, D, A, chromatic scale. When he enters the next verse, he stays on the G. Instead of playing, okay, and then when he gets to the B here, it doesn't sustain it, he continues playing it, so like this, and makes a faster slide, so slow. Okay, I'm sliding the pinky, I'm almost hitting the D sharp, okay, like this. Then the next middle eight is all chords, so the chords are D and A. Remember, keep the first long and then the other one muted and the middle one very short. This is the cadence, and then which is G and D, and then C and G, and then A and E, like this. He repeats this one again. When he gets to the last C, before he enters the introduction, which this time he will play this way, C, E, D, he plays one chord and two single notes, so you have to change the finger from the index to the medium, okay, so like this. Then there is another crescendo, this time it was pretty all muted. Okay, then another verse starts. There are a few variations which are not that important. Again, to get to the refrain, Paul starts from a C sharp and gets to the C, and then he mixes up the two notes and one note. Something like this. And then he gets to the ending of the song, and the B is played here, all muted. Mind the kick drum, I recommend. And then the ending, mind how he plays that. So very short in between notes. And then the last G played here. I will always insist in order for you to achieve the best results possible in your Beatles covers. Not only on where the notes are played, but how they are played. Remember, how the Beatles played makes a huge difference. So this was the end of the video. Please leave me your comments below. Let me know what you think about this new format, taking care of the few details, advanced details of the performances of the Beatles instruments. And then support the channel if you can, because making this video is very long time taking. Next video will be about most probably the bass of Hey Bulldog. This will be very advanced. Ciao, see you next time.